Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Wright 8 Trials and Tribulations walkthrough. It is time to continue on with our investigation into Bridge to the Turnabout, and, What off, Gumshoe? Why do I have the feeling that he's just found the actual crime scene? Like, it does not sound good to me. And I believe that we just had a typo. So, what Von Karma, well, Franziska, said was perhaps you were trying to decide if you wanted to wash that off or not. Obviously, what she meant to say was perhaps you were trying to decide if you wanted to wash that off or not. But clearly that managed to slip through. But thankfully there's only like 2 major typos in the case. That being one of them, the other being when you're playing as Edgy and you meet Gumshoe at the suspension bridge for the first time. You present Nick's profile to Gumshoe and he says maybe somehow he's actually the cause of all these incidents, in which Edgy will then think to himself, but you could say the exact same thing about him. Well, actually no, but you could say the same thing about him, and obviously it's just meant to be, but you could say the exact same thing about him, adding in an extra "the," which I suppose is not the worst possible thing in the world. But yes, this really does look like it probably is the actual crime scene, because there's a little charm with cords that match up to the thread around the Stonehim's neck. You've got the cleared snow around this stone structure, but also you have the writing in blood, and yeah, it says Maya in blood. Yay! This is not looking good. This is not looking good in the slightest. But hey, at least we've found the actual scene of the crime. Because that means that there is actually going to be, hopefully, decisive evidence around here that will allow us to prove who actually did do the murdering. Right, so I mean, yes, that is very fishy indeed. Because if the lantern was lit, it wouldn't burn the snow away in that sort of pattern. Like, it just... it's too neat and man-made. You'd have a sort of... well, arguably, bloody hell, arguably, you'd have a smaller area covered, and it would be more of a circle, because the heat's not just going to go out in the 4 directions. It'd kind of emanate around the area. So that's already quite suspicious, and obviously, the bloody writing with Maya, but it's Maya upside down, which I suppose if your back's against the wall and you're writing with your left hand, which is what that would arguably be, because if your back's to it, it'd be your left hand. I mean, even if it was your right hand, yeah, it would end up being upside down if you were writing it behind your back. But as actually this case is gonna unfold, there's something actually really suspicious, and it actually doesn't make sense why that writing is upside down. But we will get to that when we get to that. First off, you know, we're still waiting to rescue Maya, so that's kind of important. But yes, obviously, whoever did the murdering well, I don't think they're quite going to reach this conclusion, but whoever did the murdering had a day and a half to plant this crime scene as they would have liked. Like, they would have had time to do cleanup, but perhaps they missed a few things, and really that should begin to indicate more of what may have taken place here. And, oh look, it's Iris! And Edgy. So this is good. Hopefully we can now unlock the Sacred Cavern. And yes, Iris, you better sort this out. Like, I know that we're defending you and all, but, like, seriously. Sort this out now. And this is where things get a little bit... Because, I mean, obviously, technically we're a defence attorney, therefore we don't really have the right to be going poking our nose round crime scenes. Purely because we're there to defend, and therefore we could likely fabricate evidence to prove the innocence of our client. Or we could remove evidence that could prove decisive against our client. Therefore, that is generally why defence attorneys aren't allowed in crime scenes or to badger witnesses outside of court. But obviously we're not following that path of logic. We are just going to bulldoze our way through, as you do, you know? Now, you can understand why Nick's as hesitant to say this as he is, because obviously Nick's not... Well, she was brave to testify truthfully as to what she saw, but also she's still hiding something, which is concerning, and we're going to get to the bottom of that right now. Really, you should have already probably figured this out. And this is probably going to be one of the easiest sight clocks that we are going to have. So, Mystic Elise might have been an author, but I think she was more than that. But yes, we now have evidence that proves Miss Stonehim's true identity, and that is the Crane Master's talisman, which ultimately proves her to be... Yes. Misty Fae. And the other item that unequivocally proves the identity is the hanging scroll. Obviously it's covered in gravy at present, but it proves that Miss Elise Donim was in fact the master of the crane channeling technique, Misty Faye. Which Nick will get to in a minute, but really, you should have seen this coming for quite a while, actually. And this is why I do actually really like Elise Donim's name in terms of dealing with this case, because well, so the name Donim actually translates quite nicely, because so it's either a play on pseudonym, which is obviously a different name for somebody else, or it could be a combination or of a corruption of de, which is to, and nim, which is a variant of the suffix unim, which comes from the ancient Greek word for name. So that would mean that her surname is to name, which is very suitable for her because obviously you have her real name, which is Misty Faye, and her alias, Elise Donim. It's a double name. Now, since that has been revealed, we can also go a little bit into her name in other languages. So her Japanese names are, well, Misty Faye is Maiko Asiyato, and her Elise Donim is Erisu Tenru Usai, or something to that effect. Now, Maiko means dancing girl, and the name Elise is a variant of Elizabeth, and it's also the name of a dancing girl from the short story The Dancing Girl, written by Mori Ogai. Elise could also be a play on the word alias. The Sato bit of one of her names may come from the word village or home country, whilst the Aya part has no particular meaning. Obviously in English the name Misty Faye is a play on mystify or mystery, and obviously the fact that the clan title of Mystic, so it's Mystic Misty, they're quite similar. And obviously the Fae bit comes from the word Fae, which can mean magical, fairy-like, strange, otherworldly or spellbound. There is also an archaic meaning, which is doomed to die, which is quite fitting actually. But also it's, I would say, much more likely to come from Morgan Le Fay, who is the sorceress from the Legend of King Arthur, of who Morgan Le Fay is named after. But yes, Iris has escaped. And, I have to say, yeah, Iris isn't the type of person to run away, therefore she's probably how more likely to run to the Sacred Cavern, because it might have caved in. So she might have gone to try and help. So we should probably go check on that right now. Because potentially, obviously, Maya could be sort of dead in a cave-in, which is not pleasant in the slightest. But thank God she isn't, because that would be awful. But, yeah. There are now 5 trick locks over the gate that leads into the Sacred Cavern. How the hell does that work? So, yes. It is all to be continued. Oh, good lord.